This just in, Jussie Smollett did not Epstein himself. Very important to know.
I am not suicidal. That's what I was about to say. Okay. I am not suicidal. Okay? I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. And I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself. And you must all know that. I am not suicidal. Okay.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? I'm Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And we are talking about the Jussie Smollett sentencing, which just dropped a little bit ago after a 5-hour-long sentencing hearing, of which I was there for much of it, but not all of it, unfortunately, because who thinks sentencing hearings go 5 hours? And this is a story of wealth and privilege that cannot be understated. From a story that originated about a lack of privilege for a gay, black, Jewish person named Jussie Smollett, beaten in the streets of Chicago, in the heart of MAGA country, for his crime of being every single protected minority he could possibly think of, which all turned out, of course, to be a hoax. It was pretty obvious from the start that the story didn't seem to match up to reality. But that's how it goes. It turned into a story of a hoax from someone who was starved for more attention, more money, more of everything. And so he orchestrated a plot to have himself mugged in the streets after buying a Subway sandwich or whatever, as one would do. And then he would run to the media and run to police and tell them about the evil hate crime that happened in Trump's America to him, an innocent black, Jewish, gay man, celebrity. But of course, it turned into an actual story of privilege and power in which this black, Jewish, gay man would have a high-powered attorney team, have political connections influencing the outcomes of the trial from the get-go, have prosecutors mysteriously dropping and then sort of recusing themselves, but not quite, all of these charges and cases. Everything was a disaster until it all came crashing down when someone just decided to look at the evidence and go, oh yeah, this guy's lying. It's pretty obvious he's lying. It's obvious he set it all up. And once that happened, once investigation was actually able to take place on this case, it wasn't that much trouble at all. In fact, the jury deliberated for only a few hours. Now, there were 5 counts. Well, there were 6 charges, all about the same thing: disorderly conduct for filing false police reports and making false statements in relation to a released report to police officers. Jussie Smollett was convicted on 5 of those 6 charges, and he faced a maximum potential sentence of, in theory, up to 15 years in prison. Now, that would require a couple things. That would require the maximum sentence on each of those charges, which cap out at 3 years. And it would require the judge to find consecutive sentencing under Illinois law, which is theoretically possible, but it's not as straightforward as it sounds. The most likely outcome, even with maximum sentences, would be a concurrent sentence, concurrent service of sentence. So you could charge, theoretically, find him guilty on and convict and then sentence him to 3 years on each of the charges, but they would be served at the same time. That's how a lot of these things get charged out. But there is a way to get to the 15 years if you wanted to. The judge rejected that notion and instead sentenced him to 100 and, wait, what was it? It was 150 days? No, 30. Yes, 30 months of felony probation and 150 days in county jail. This is way more than I thought he was going to get. I did not think he would spend a day in jail. But the defense team worked extra hard today to give the judge good reason to put him in jail. He's clearly not remorseful. He clearly thinks he did nothing wrong. He still maintains his innocence, which gives an indication that he plans to appeal the decision. And Because of that, the judge is allowed to take those things into consideration, and he did, offering a rather fantastic verbal smackdown of the narcissism, arrogance, and privilege of Jussie Smollett. Jussie Smollett, as some would call him. So he is also sentenced to pay restitution to the city of a little over $120,000 due to the massive amounts of work that had to go into investigating his false crime, and he has to pay a fine of $25,000. But make no mistake, that $25,000 is a mere drop in the bucket compared to what he even paid for this hearing with his legal team. And he'll presumably be able to cover both of those charges without any issue. The real rub here was that he would spend 150 days in county lockup. That is not a pleasant place to be. It is certainly not a pleasant place to be for 5 months of your life, as anyone who's been to county lockup can tell you. But that is what has happened. After the sentencing, the judge asked Jussie if he had any questions, and here is what he said. You got a little snippets of it at the beginning of this video, but here's the full context, just so you know.
No, I would just like to say to Your Honor that I am not suicidal. That's what I would like to say. Okay. I'm not suicidal. Okay? I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. If I did this, then it means that I stuck my fist in the fears of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years and the fears of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you and I respect the jury, but I did not do this. And I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself. And you must all know that. I respect you, Your Honor. I respect your decision. Jail time. I am not suicidal. Okay.
Yeah, the giant international conspiracy to murder Jussie Smollett in prison is now well underway. The gears are ticking. The Kremlin gremlins are running to gather their intel to find out what cell he's in, so they could quickly dispatch of this giant problem to the entire world. Of course, he said the truth. What he did was he stuck his fist squarely in the fears of Black Americans and the LGBTQ community, and he did it for his own personal gain. And that is why his sentencing mattered. That is why this was not a petty crime. No matter how many celebrities, no matter how many charitable institutions, no matter how many Black Lives Matter subchapters wanted to write letters in support of Jussie and all the good work that he's out there doing, he shoved his fist right in the face of the fears of Black Americans and the fears of the LGBTQ community, as does everyone who fakes a hate crime. They cheapen and delegitimize the actual hate crimes that are out there. They create a scare, a stigma, a pandemic, if you will, of this illusion of hate crimes that are so pervasive. And when they turn out to be false, people are less inclined to believe that real hate crimes exist. And think about it for yourself. Do you ever trust them anymore? Do you trust a hate crime announcement, or are you immediately skeptical? And if you're immediately skeptical, it's because so many of them have been hoaxed, and the media has bought into them hook, line, and sinker. And there's still major organizations and companies are still simping for Jussie Smollett. He lied to everyone. The judge flat out told him, what you did on the witness stand was pure perjury, for hours and hours and hours. And oh my gosh, I wish we could have watched it, but we couldn't. And that's another thing we learned today, that the defense, Jussie's lawyers, didn't want the media in there for the trial, but they wanted the media in there for the sentencing. And they did, because they paraded letter after letter about all the good things he's done, about all the great stuff that Jussie's done his whole life. Of course, which really isn't that impressive when you start to look at what he did and what they say he did. He's no more or less impressive than your average celebrity philanthropists, the weekend philanthropists, the ones that are basically contractually obligated to engage in some sort of community outreach programs because it helps promote the shows and the products that they're endorsing. But that being said, his very unimpressive record of public service, which was all self-serving, was put on full display to show how bad the court was, how wrong they got it, how racist they were, how a man like Jussie Smollett, a black, gay, Jewish man in America, just can't get a fair shake. When in fact, he got far more than a fair shake and far more deference than was due to him. And the severity of his crime is far more than the sentence would suggest, because this man tried to capitalize on and inflame deteriorating race relations in 2019 for personal gain, to promote himself, to promote his show, to promote his character on the show. And it is disgusting what he did. And this, to me, I'm shocked to see it. I thought it would be even lighter, but is far, far too light of a sentence. But that's what happened in Jussie Smollett's sentencing hearing just today. I'll be doing a more thorough breakdown of everything on my show tonight, live on Ricada Law at 11 p.m. Central. I do a live stream basically every weeknight, and I hope to see you there. Thanks a bunch, guys. Have a nice one. Until the next idiot gets sentenced. Peace. Peace.